Sony. They've been making e-readers for a heck of a long time, and guess what? They're back again through us, goodereader.com, with, what do you ask? This is the Sony PRS-350, and guess what? We're selling them again. Between August of 2020 and today, we are still selling the DPT RP1 and CP1 with all the accessories and everything because we're really keeping it alive through Good e-Reader Japan. Now, actual Sony stores have closed down years ago, and back in 2020, last year, the DPT RP1 and CP1 were kaput, in America at least. East Coast and West Coast operations, New York and California respectively, were completely shut down when it came to the digital paper branch. However, we here at Good e-Reader have been using our sources to keep them alive. We have teamed up with Sony, and our Good e-Reader Japan office has gained partnership with selling these now. Yes, you can actually buy these. The reason we're bringing this back up is a couple reasons. One, it's Sony. Two, this is awesome. And three, because this is a 5-inch. There are no 5 inches on the market right now. The Kobo Mini came out in 2012 and sold like hot cakes. A couple years later, they came back and had a blowout sale. I got our Kobo Mini that we still have at Good e-Reader for $20 at Best Buy Canada, and then they were completely gone again. Sony then followed to shut down all of the Sony reader operations, then to move on to the DPT, blah blah blah. But yeah, this is amazing because the only other device that is currently available in 5-inch other than this is the Xiaomi Ink Palm, and that thing is Chinese only, and it has a glass screen and it's all glossy. Not to discount it, it's cool and it's current, and it's 2021, but this is awesome. And what's interesting about this, it's 10 years old. So I get it, you might be saying, why would I buy a 10-year-old e-reader? Well, to be honest, there's not too many reasons, but let's go over to the board and we'll show you. So if we put this up against, I don't know, the Amazon Kindle Basic 10th generation, because that's kind of like a golden standard. So on the left will be the PRS, and on the right will be the Kindle 10th. So it has half the amount of gigabytes. It doesn't have a glow light, but it is 24 grams lighter than the Kindle, and it has a greater pixel density at 200 ppi versus 167. This is because when you calculate ppi, you calculate it by the screen dimensions, and then you use the diagonal measurement of how big the screen is. Therefore, if you have a more condensed screen, it's obviously more dense, therefore has a denser pixel density, if that makes sense. I'm not a scientist. It also has a weaker battery. It's actually 940 milliamps versus 1600 milliamps, and it's $100 more. The reason it's so expensive is because it is a 10-year-old device. There's limited stock, and it's going through us, who is distributing Sony products. However, because of the limited availability, the price is set. We can't really go any lower than that. But do you want to be a part of history? I don't know, maybe. This thing comes with a freaking stylus on the top. That is cool, and it's made out of aluminum. Let's check it out. Just turning this on, it's a complete blast from the past, and it's so nostalgic here at Good e-Reader because we've used these a decade ago when we started out doing e-reader reviews. So you have your continue reading, your books, and some periodicals collections down below. You have 3 tabs: Home, Applications, and Settings. Applications is where you're going to find your pictures and your handwriting. Yes, that's right. This had handwriting with a stylus. You also have Dictionary and Text Memo. Now we're just going to do a gridded view here for about 5 seconds, and you guys can pause the video at any time if you want to see all the settings. You don't see silver e-readers anymore. It really is something you have to get used to because everything's either been black bezels or white bezels up until this point. It's probably just in our heads, but it is a little bit different to look at a screen that's surrounded by a metallic color rather than just a flat black or flat white. Yes, the table of contents does work perfectly fine on side-loaded content. You can turn the pages 2 different ways. You can swipe, or you can use, yes, the physical page turn buttons. That is something that has basically just died off. Pretty much only Pocketbook uses physical page turn buttons to this day. Now, you don't have a long press. Now, we were wondering when we restarted to test this, why isn't there a long press? And oh yeah, that's right. That's because you get a stylus that is built into the device itself. Now, how do we do this? We go to Options, we go down to Notes, and then we go to Create Edit. Yes, 10 years ago, And we forgot this ourselves. You can make notes and highlights on the Sony. Look at that, and it's quick. That's pretty quick. And you don't have to navigate back into the reading experience to turn pages because you have your physical page turn buttons. So you can turn to the next page, go over here, and start making all of your notes. This is very nice, but you know what? It's not that surprising. I mean, Sony was the first to make e-readers, so they had a lot of time before, say, Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Kobo did, because these guys are making e-readers years before any of those companies even started. You also have an eraser, and you can just go ahead and erase like that. It's basically stroke eraser. And you have notes, and everything that you take notes will be listed in here, so your scribbles and your highlights will all be right there. You do have some contrast settings as well, original, brighter, saturated, etc. You can even go to custom and change the overall brightness and contrast yourself, and look how slowly those things move. That is a lot of points of alteration. In fact, it looks like there's 127 points in either direction for both slider bars. So that's a lot of customization, and you can just restore everything if you want to go back. PDFs run on this no problem. We don't recommend using PDFs on this. I mean, PDFs are bad enough on a 6-inch, never mind a 5. But it does do the trick, and you can do it. Now, you don't have pinch and zoom, but you have a zoom button, and it's one of the 5 buttons located on the bottom, so it begs to be used. You have zoom in. You have a bunch of different things that happen here. You have lock, you have fit to width, fit to height, and you can scroll the bar here and choose your zoom level. That's kind of nice. Of course, pinch and zoom is just so much more intuitive, but for the time, this was not bad. Same thing holds true in PDFs. You go over to notes, you can create and edit from there. You do get the same palette at the top, so it does isolate everything that is text. And then you can go over to the handwriting like so. Eraser still works all the same. You can bookmark and then exit out and go back to the reading experience from there. You can use the physical page turn buttons just like a book. I would say that for manga, this is a little bit small, so you will have to utilize that zoom there and maybe fit to width, fit to height, but the overall pixel density looks very nice. As we said at the beginning of this video, this actually has higher PPI than the Amazon Kindle, and that's because it's a smaller, more dense screen. It does display images very well as well. Now, something about Sony, that around the time this was made, they were selling a lot of those digital photo frames. So this can be used as that, except an e-ink version of that. For example, if you go to options, you can turn the slideshow on. You can even change the orientation and just set this thing up as a digital photo frame, and it'll just cycle through everything. Handwriting, something that was, I don't know, revolutionary back 10 years ago, but which is so commonplace today. It was cool to see a micro e-reader like this have handwriting. You can do one of two things. You can click on something that's already there. It does have some presets, and you can start editing it like so, add some more smelly coffee lines, or you can create your own. Now, this is a very extensive note-taking experience for 2010 on a 5-inch. And what I mean by that is it is not. Because there are only two things you can do. You can do the pen, and you can do erase. That is it. It wasn't meant to be a note-taking device, although it's weird because one of the two applications this has is note-taking, but it is mainly for just small little doodles and little notes that you're gonna remind yourself later. It's not even that good. It does miss some strokes, and it's not that responsive. It is not reliant on this. This is not some sort of alien technology or any proprietary technology. It'll be running the exact same thing as if you were to use your finger, something hard, or whatever. They just give you this as a pleasantry, but it's cool because it slides into the device itself. There are no options, and in fact, anytime you do something that the device prohibits you, it will have a little prohibition mark on the bottom right corner telling you what you're doing does nothing. Do we think that you guys should buy the PRS-350 10 years after it was made? Yes. Is it better than the Amazon Kindle 10th generation for 99 bucks? Yeah. No, this thing is not better than the Kindle 10th generation. It is rather old. It is made a decade ago, but you know what's interesting about that and why we did this video is because 10 years later, it still holds up. We truly think it does. It has an amazing form factor. It looks great. It's made out of a piece of aluminum. It looks like a book. It has great styling, physical page turn buttons, and an included stylus. Not only that, it has a greater pixel density due to its small screen size. It's still running micro USB, and it has handwriting applications built in. This thing is made at a time when e-readers had character, that they weren't all just cookie cutter black slabs for a race to the bottom prices. We know it's expensive, but if you did want to grab one, it is available over at the Good e-reader store. We ship anywhere in the world, of course, and for a full 10-year time capsule review of the Sony PRS-350 Pocket, this is Peter.